This Day in Sports History. This episode is brought to you by Sterling Roastery. When the morning's turning colder, there is no better way to start your day than with a cup of coffee brewed with fresh roasted beans from Sterling Roastery. With the same care and dedication they take with their soap, the Sterling folks roast their beans sourced from around the world with great care and expertise. Check out their full line of beans at sterlingsoap.com. And right now, you can win one of 3 $50 Sterling Roastery gift cards. Use it for yourself or as a gift to a friend. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways to enter today. That's sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways for your chance to win a Sterling Roastery gift card. Well, hey there, my friend. It is another edition of This Day in Sports History. I am your humble host, Steve White, ready to take you on another journey up and down the sports history timeline. It is November 13th, and today, my friends, we've got intrigue, we've got controversy, a groundbreaking debut, the man with the longest shot in basketball, and the man with the most powerful short shot in the NBA. All of that plus a non-sports fun fact that may just send you on a treasure hunt. But let's start off with what happened on this day back in 1994 when Michael Schumacher won the first of his 7 Formula One titles. The 1994 Formula One season was filled with tragedy and controversy. This was the season that Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna both died in on-track crashes just days apart at Imola. Controversy seemed to follow Schumacher all around that season. His second-place finish at the British Grand Prix was erased after his refusal to serve a penalty, leading to him being black-flagged. He was suspended for 2 races after that. And that actually brings us to what happened today, and it brings it into focus for us. Schumacher had a substantial 27-point lead in the driver's standings at the midway point, but after his DQ at Silverstone, a DNF at Hockenheim, another disqualification in Belgium, and the 2-race suspension, well, his lead was down to just 1 point over Damon Hill heading into this final race of the season in Australia on this day. Schumacher and Hill had finished 1-2 at the previous 2 races, with the German winning in Spain and the Brit winning in Japan. A 1-2 finish by these guys in the Aussie race would give the winner the points championship. Nigel Mansell was the pole sitter. Schumacher was outside of row 1, and Damon Hill was on row 2 behind Mansell. Mansell's excessive wheel spin at the drop of the green flag allowed Hill to go past and ride up on the wing of Schumacher. The drivers would ride around the track 1-2 until lap 36. Now, whether it was the pressure of a championship that got to Michael, or the car simply lost grip for a millisecond, his Benetton Ford went off the track and rubbed the wall with the right wheel. He steered back on the track, but he had lost momentum, speed, and time. When Hill rounded the corner that Schumacher had just slid out in, he saw Michael getting back on the track, and he saw his opportunity to take the race lead. He came up on the inside of Schumacher, and he had the pace to get around him cleanly. But the two made contact with the wheels of Schumacher's car, hitting Hill's, causing Schumacher's Ford to go up on 2 wheels and nearly flipped his car. It hit the barrier, and Schumacher was done for the day. For the briefest of moments as he drove away from the accident, Hill thought he'd just won the Formula One title. But he soon realized he had a problem with his left front suspension caused by the collision a few moments before. When Hill came to the pits, his mechanic attempted to bend it with his bare hands, but he could not fix it. Hill also had to retire from the race, giving the Formula One championship to Schumacher. Here's Hill and Schumacher in post-accident interviews from that day.
It's over now, and it's a bit of an empty feeling, but I think I gave him a good run for his money.
It was a very great battle between me and Damon, but nevertheless, the feeling about the championship, winning the championship, it's a dream.
Now, here is the thing. On first look, this appeared to be simply an unfortunate but unavoidable on-track collision. But subsequent looks from Hill's crew chief and others showed what they believed to be Schumacher's intentional turning into Hill in an effort to damage his car. Nothing came of it. Hill accepted the result and the ruling, and he moved on. Schumacher won the '94 F1 championship by 1 point. It was the first of what would become 7 Formula One championships for Schumacher. But there are some, including Schumacher's friend Roger Benoit, that believes Schumacher's '94 F1 championship should be revoked, believing what happened on lap 36 to be an intentional maneuver to damage Hill's car. Let's keep that controversy train rolling with what happened on this day in 1977 when Houston Oilers head coach Bum Phillips accused punter Ray Guy of cheating. So, you've heard of Tom Brady and Deflategate, right? Well, this was more like Inflategate. Bum Phillips was a great character, ripped straight out of Central Casting for a Texas football coach. He was almost never without his trademark cowboy hat and dark-lensed sunglasses. He was quick with the one-liners that flowed from him with a deep Texas drawl. Ray Guy was also a Southern boy, born in Georgia, went to college at Southern Miss, was the first and still only punter to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft by the then Oakland Raiders in 1973. Guy could kick it as high as he could far, and for a guy who had a career-long 74-yarder and another for 71, well, that's saying something. He was famous for hitting the gondola in the ceiling at the New Orleans Superdome. Well, on this day, the Oilers were on the road in Oakland. Guy punted the ball just 3 times during the game, and he also handled kickoffs. He averaged just 36 yards a kick, but it wasn't the length of Guy's kicks that concerned Bum Phillips. It was the hang time that caught the coach's eye. It just seemed to the old football coach that there just had to be something janky about how that ball just floated in the air, defying gravity like it did. And why was it, when one of those kicked balls found its way to the Houston sideline, did somebody from the Raiders come rushing right over to demand the ball back? One of the Oilers' equipment guys was able to confiscate one of the balls that Guy kicked on this day, and he stored it away for later analysis. They actually sent the ball to a lab at Rice University to see if the ball contained helium or some other substance that kept it in the air for so long. When Madden heard Bum's supposition of helium-filled footballs, he called the accusation ridiculous. The officials control the balls. They have 24 of them in their locker room before the game, and they inflate them to the prescribed pressure, said Madden. When the test results came back on Tuesday the following week, the football was negative for any foreign lighter-than-air gas. Even if the football had tested positive for helium, it wouldn't have helped. A 2009 Mythbusters segment put that idea to the test and found that a helium-filled ball did not fly any farther, any higher, or hang any longer in the air than a regular filled one. And really, Bum was probably just upset that his team was 4-5 after losing to the Raiders 34-28 on this day. And speaking of a ball that hangs in the air a long time, let's go back to this day in 1967 when ABA basketball player Jerry Harkness hit the longest shot in professional basketball history. This is the first season of the Renegade American Basketball Association with its red, white, and blue ball and the still unfamiliar three-point shot. The Indiana Pacers were on the road playing the Dallas Chaparrals. With under 10 seconds to play, the score was tied and Dallas had the ball. And I'll let Harkness himself describe what happened next.
A guy by the name of Charles Beasley, it was deep in the corner, took a jump shot, and it went through, nothing but net. The place went crazy, and Oliver Darden took the ball out and gave it to me right under the basket there. And I had nothing else to do. I knew we were out of town, so I pulled it back as far as I could go, and I let it go. And it was going towards the basket. I just said, well, maybe it'll hit the backboard. I don't look stupid. And the ball hit the backboard and went in.
Now, here's the thing. The players were still unfamiliar with this three-point shot thing, even though it's like the 15th or 16th game that they've played. Harkness initially thought his 92-foot shot merely tied the game and that it was headed to overtime. Here's Harkness again.
The three-point shot had just started, and all my life I've been playing 2-point. So a lot of us was shocked because it was the first year of the ABA, and we thought that it put us in overtime. And then the referee, Joe Belmont, I think, said, hey, it's over.
So at 92 feet, Harkness's shot is the longest in basketball history. Here's another thing. The Chaparrals painted a blue spot on the floor to commemorate the shot. But when Harkness and the Pacers came back through Dallas the next time, Jerry noticed the spot was not in the right place. It had been moved forward and measured to 88 feet, but he remembers being right under the basket when he launched it. Others who witnessed it that night, such as Dallas's radio man Terry Stembridge, agreed that it was a longer shot than the spot on the floor gave him credit for, and I found 3 different sources for this story, and they all listed it as a 92-footer. So I'm going with that, and it happened on this day in 1967. This episode is brought to you by McFarlane Books. They weren't on Wheaties boxes. They didn't have the headlines, but they were there, breaking barriers one pitch at a time. The Integration of Minor League Baseball, A History and Player Register 1946 to 1959 by Rick Swain and Gary C. Fink shines a light on the overlooked heroes who paved the way for future legends. From dusty bus rides to hostile crowds, these players fought for a place in a game that didn't want to see them win. More than history, it's a tribute to courage, perseverance, and the power of the game to change. Honor their legacy today and grab a copy of The Integration of Minor League Baseball at your favorite bookseller. On this day in 1947, Wataru Misaka became the first person of color to play professional basketball. Misaka didn't see himself as a trailblazer, and he scuttled any comparison made between his barrier-breaking moment and Jackie Robinson's, who'd become the first black player to play modern Major League Baseball just a few months before. Misaka was a second-generation Japanese-American, born in Ogden, Utah in 1923. Through his high school days and his time at Weber State and then at the University of Utah, during World War II, he heard racial taunts and he faced some discrimination. He could not understand when people shouted, "Go back where you came from." When he was born in the U.S., he was an American citizen, and he was drafted into the Army, serving for a time on a U.S. Army base in Hiroshima. Misaka was one of the star players on the 1947 Utah Utes team that won the NIT, beating Kentucky 49-45 in the championship game in Madison Square Garden. He was drafted by the New York Knicks in the 7th round of what was then the BAA draft. It would not become the NBA until 1950. So on this night in 1947, Misaka was once again back at Madison Square Garden, this time in a Knicks uniform, playing against the Washington Capitals. Watt scored 2 points in an 80-65 win for New York. He only played in 2 more games for the Knicks, scoring a total of 7 points in his career before being cut by the team. Now, there are some who thought that it was because of his Asian heritage that he got cut, but Misaka said he believed it was because the Knicks had too many guards, and he being 5 feet 7 inches, he was expendable. He added that he never felt any discrimination from his teammates or opposing players. No other team signed him, and he returned to Utah to pursue his engineering degree and his other passion, bowling. Misaka died in 2019 at the age of 95. And on this day in 1979, Chocolate Thunder boomed for the first time. The Philadelphia 76ers were on the road at the Kansas City Kings. Daryl Dawkins was a 4-year vet for the Sixers, and he talked about breaking a backboard during a game a little bit earlier in the season. He remembers his teammates looking at him like he was a little crazy. Dawkins was definitely a power dunker, and these are the days when the rims were not breakaway rims that flexed when you grabbed on. Those were a few years away. Here's Daryl Dawkins talking about his philosophy of dunking.
I want to put the ball in the goal as hard as I can put it in there. My main thing was power. If you want to get in front of me, I'm going to make you know you're messing with the real dunker. I thought Dr. J had the most creative dunks. I mean, he could glide from the top of the key and all that. Me, I couldn't glide from the top of the key. But if I caught you up under the goal and I was at the dotted line, you was mine, buddy.
So on this night, Dawkins got the ball to the right of the lane, rose up between two Kings defenders, cocked the ball with two hands behind his head, and then unleashed a dunk with such ferocity that the backboard didn't bend to his will. It shattered into 1,000 tiny pieces, raining down on KC's Dave Rubinstein. It took a little more than an hour to repair the goal and clean up the mess, which gave Dawkins plenty of time to write a rhyme about the plundering he did with his thundering. This dunk became the chocolate thunder flying, Rubinstein crying, teeth shaking, glass breaking, rump roasting, bun toasting, wham bam, glass breaker I am jam. This was also not a one and done, son. He broke another backboard 23 days later at the Philly Spectrum in a game against San Antonio. Now, whether Dawkins was the catalyst for the evolution of rim technology or just merely the poster guy for what can happen if things did not evolve, a man by the name of Arthur Arrett developed what he called the rebounder rim that received a patent in 1982. The NBA adopted the rim before the patent even went into effect, beginning with the 1981 season. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. In 1967, Canadian Club, the whiskey brand, launched a hide-a-case marketing campaign. There were initially 25 cases hidden around the world. Now, at this point, there are still 8 cases to be found. There are cases suspected of being buried in the Yukon Territory, the Loch Ness region of Scotland, Tanzania, Robinson Crusoe Island, the North Pole, and Lake Placid, New York. So go find some buried booze and then invite me to the after party. That's going to wrap up this edition, but of course, there is always more on the way tomorrow with This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.